Since we don't have Dr. Weber's atomic clock, I've been notified that it is 10 o'clock and that clock's not accurate, so we'll begin. As far as the safety reading, I will read that. There are several exits in this room. The two doors to the back of the auditorium or the two doors to the front of the auditorium are exits. We would exit on 16th Street side of the building, and when using the stairs, please remember to use your three-point touch, 2 feet on the ground and 1 hand on the railing. Fire extinguishers, there's a fire extinguishers near the door of our board committee room, just outside the rear auditorium doors. If you have a medical condition, please write it down or let the person know next to you. The AED and first aid kit is on the brick wall to the right of the cafeteria entrance on the top of the other. Is there anyone in this room who's AED or CPR certified or trained? Okay, you've got the responsibility,
All
sir.
right, to you.
Doug Jurgensen up there.
Doug Madison too? Okay, thanks, Doug.
Close to you.
In case of a fire, please do not use the elevators. Kim or a member of OPPD security team will call 911. In the event of a tornado or severe weather, we will be directed to a safe area of the building by security. Okay, and with that, if we could please have roll call.
Barrett.
Present.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Gay.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Hurley.
Yes.
McGuire.
Here.
Mines.
Here.
Ulrich.
Here.
Agenda item number 3, notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in the Omaha World Herald and outlets, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since July 10th, 2015, and by mailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the open meetings law is available for inspection in the public meeting book located in this meeting room. Agenda item number 4, approval of the May 2015 Comprehensive Financial and Operating Report, the June 18, 2015 board meeting minutes, and the July 16, 2015 agenda.
Do we have a,
Second.
Barrett.
Yes.
Kavanaugh. Gay. Green.
Yes.
Hurley.
Yes.
McGuire.
yes?
Mines.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion passed. Agenda item number 5, persons wishing to address the Board of Directors on a particular item are asked to approach the microphone as that agenda item is discussed. Comments will be heard following board discussion of the item and prior to a vote by the board. Persons wishing to address the board on all other matters will have an opportunity before the close of the meeting. Agenda item number 6, resolution number 6069. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District as follows. 1, that a general increase in basic wages of 3% in the union agreements for all permanent, full-time, non-supervisory employees holding positions included in the union agreements with local union numbers 763 and 1483 of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers and local lodge number 31 of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, and all permanent, part-time, non-supervisory employees holding positions covered by the union agreement with local union number 1483 of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, retroactive to June 1st, 2015, be and hereby are approved. Number 2, the union agreements state that after June 1st, 2016, the parties may reopen the agreements for negotiations over health insurance provisions, including but not limited to changes necessitated by the Affordable Care Act to become effective in 2017. If the parties fail to reach an agreement on any proposed modifications, health insurance provisions will remain the same for a duration of the agreements.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, and
Mr. Kavanaugh?
well, first I'd like to say we're certainly happy to report that we've concluded negotiations and come to agreement with all 3 of our bargaining units. As Kim mentioned, the highlights of the agreements are the wage adjustment and then also the ability to reopen negotiations concerning health insurance issues after 1 year of the contract. It's a 2-year contract, goes into effect retroactively to June 1st of this year, and we recommend approval.
Okay. Any other discussion? Do we have any discussion from the public? If not,
I have one thing. In speaking with the unionized organizations, they seem to be happy, satisfied with it, that there was that two-year deal. And so I think it was a reasonable concession, or I don't want to use the word concession, but a reasonable move on the part of management to work with labor.
And I'd say that this is totally appropriate and necessary at this time, because at the time the agreements were being made, the Supreme Court hadn't decided yet finally on the Affordable Care Act, and now they've decided, and so 2017 is approaching, and discussions over how that's gonna play into the employee benefits, it's gonna take some time to resolve, so this works best for everybody.
Yeah, you never know what the Congress is gonna do either. So, okay, are there any, the public has no comment, I guess we can have a roll call.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay, Green,
Yes.
Hurley,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mines, Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion passed. Agenda item number 7, resolution number 6070. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District as follows. Section 1, this board approves the Omaha Public Power District Set 1 board policies in the form set forth in Exhibit A hereto and made a part hereof. Section 2, to the extent the attached board policies conflict with any pre-existing resolution of this board, the provisions of the attached board policies adopted in Section 1 above shall control, and the conflicting provision of the pre-existing resolution shall be deemed repealed.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Again, and this is a first of several votes we'll be taking over the next several months concerning implementation of basically board policies, but to how the board is going to function. Up to this point, we discovered that there weren't a whole lot of written policies in effect, that we've been conducting business quite often based upon tradition more so than anything, structurally. We're voting on several today. These items have been made public and they've been discussed in public several times. And again, this is the first of several. It's a long process, and we recommend approval.
I think it's important to point out I'm going to review the 4 points again that we've said what the purpose is to sharpen focus on critical issues, clarify the relationship between the board and management, optimize decision-making, and finally deliver organizational results aligned with agreed upon strategic performance objectives and risk levels. And this began back last fall. We discussed it. We contracted with Leading Resources to help us out with this. It's been a very methodical process, and all of our meetings have been publicized in advance and open to the public. It was first, the 2 formal workshops were held in February, both February 10th and 11th, and May 12th and 13th, and I have to admit, it's the longest time I've ever seen my fellow board members together at one time. It was pleasant. And then finally, the last few meetings during our governance discussion, we discussed this openly, these policies. At the last board meeting, I announced that the policies would be posted on our website. They were posted on the website from June 24th to the 15th. That was during the 3-week period as far as comments. We did get comments, and I believe everyone has read the comments. And do we have any discussion about the comments? Some of the comments,
Well, I would say that,
Yeah.
Of the 3 comments, aside from the Wildlife Federation, they're all here, so when they get an opportunity to speak, we can
that's a good point, yeah,
in a longer version of what they wanted to say.
right. And with the Wildlife Federation, I think he talks about in depth about the corporate governance guidelines. We are not even discussing those at this moment, but we can take that into consideration. I think the idea was after we formulate these policies, these may go away or they're gonna be revised based on what the policies are.
But like I said, we've had a chance to digest these comments presented to us, we should take them seriously, and we've had a chance to look at them and consider them and so forth. We're ready to go.
Yeah. Okay. Considering that, is there any other comments from the board?
Just, and I have one, when we say policies, and we've had discussions, and these have been public meetings that people can listen to, but just to make sure this is our public meeting, and these are guidelines and policies to follow. Every time we have a resolution, we're changing policy, and that's, will continue on, so
Yes.
this is,
This is a,
this is not binding anyone to do anything at
Thank
this
you.
point, But still, I think, and we discussed this, we gotta watch how far we go to not handcuff ourselves in a big changing environment, because this changes so quick that several of us want the opportunity to be
And I believe
flexible.
We have pulled some of those policies for further discussion in
Appreciate
September. At the next,
Yeah.
there's gonna, our next meeting, those policies, that way there was some contention that were pulled.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's more time to add, and there's always, these can be changed at any time as well, with the majority
It's a
of the
moving-
board.
moving,
It's a-
breathing
it's a living
document.
Yeah, exactly, but I think it's also good guidelines on that way, if you're a new member coming in, you have something to look at and kind of know where we're at and where the board has been going, so it will be a good resource for
Right.
people, I think, if you need.
And remember, the ones that we're adopting, if we adopt these today or whatever we do with them, these are the ones that we, as we went through, we had pretty much consensus that these were the ones we wanted to do. There are others out there we're still working on that aren't finished yet, and we'll get back to you with those. And there's some things that probably should be included too, because we have a resolution on conduct at the meetings, and that probably should be incorporated into these policies. And then we're still discussing separately whether to open up committee meetings and things like that. We just haven't come to any consensus among ourselves yet as to what we think should happen there. And we're gonna discuss it again, and we'll discuss it openly, just like we have in this entire process.
Yeah, I think the committees, environmental, ethics, that type of stuff's been pulled for further discussion, and I think that's good to have further discussion on that. With that, if there's nothing, if the public would like to comment.
David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street. Again, I want to thank you for taking all the time to work on this. Last meeting, I said that organizations need time too I'm glad that the Wildlife Federation was able to do this, but most of us meet once a month. And I had asked that you take into consideration that. I'm not sure what the hurry is for this first batch, but most of us haven't had time. I did not know. Perhaps I should have been looking every day on the website for that they were out there, but I did not know until 3 days ago. And I know that Dwayne didn't know either. So I'm not, so most of us haven't had time to go through it. We've looked through, searched for certain words, see what's there, but we haven't had time to really evaluate it and try to give some suggestions. So it may be that this has to be done today, but I'm not sure why. I'm glad that some of them were set aside because they do require some more discussion. And then just one thing regarding some of the communications I've had about the ability to at least have a very short and prescribed question at the committee meetings. Although NPPD doesn't have it written in practice, they do allow the public, which is usually, as you know, very few people, to at least ask one or two questions at those. So I would hope that you would consider that.
David, were you
Thanks.
provided with a copy of this timeline, rather lengthy timeline that this led us to this point?
I didn't hear you.
Were you provided with a copy of this timeline that dates back several months that led us to this point? Was that part made, Kim, was that made available to
Oh,
everyone?
I know about the process and all that. It's the
it's been quite
time
long.
for the public comment. We were waiting for it, and evidently we should have been looking every day on the website, because I thought I would get an email saying it's there.
These really aren't that critical. This is almost, I don't wanna call it a housekeeping thing. That's basically what it is,
The
okay?
first ones are the most
This is not critical.
non-controversial,
Yeah.
really.
This is not a big deal, okay? This really isn't.
I
This is a
don't
deal
think
that we just need to do with this, and this is not gonna change how we do business. It's not gonna change the philosophy of the organization, or it's not gonna change your rates. It's not gonna endanger anybody. This is just, it's not a big deal, okay?
That may
Not a
be
big deal.
true. We just
It is
haven't
true.
had the time
That
to
is true.
decide if we agree with that.
The point I might make is that I understand that you may not have had the time you needed, but I did, and I did review them thoroughly, and the board was very accommodating in setting aside a number of things that I felt were I was concerned about, and like Director Kavanaugh says, this is just the very first few, and there's nothing in here, number one, that's earth-shaking, and number two, there's nothing in here we can't change. So, I understand your concerns, but you don't need to be concerned this time.
Well, I take offense to being told when I should be concerned. That's my decision, that's not your decision. So that's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
telling you, I'm representing you. You're part of the public, and that's why we're all here.
I understand that.
And I guess you can be concerned, but I'm saying it's my opinion that you don't need to be.
I know it's your opinion. I'm saying
I'm not
and
telling
others.
you, I'm telling you that's my opinion.
I understand that.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that all of what you've said may be true. It's just that we didn't have time to go through it to see if I agree with your
Yeah.
saying that there's nothing to be concerned about. I would just add on that when you said constituent, the word constituent doesn't appear in there anywhere. And I do caution you to say the difference between stakeholders, customer owners, and constituents, because you are elected officials. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I think, well, we did publicize it. I did verbally even note that both at the committee meeting last month and also at the board meeting last month. And I think it was on the thing, but perhaps we might make it a little bit. And we did a press release also. So I'm trying to figure out how, maybe we can visit with Mrs. Olson on how to maybe make that a little bit more accessible on the OPPD website or something like that. There's only so much we can get. The press will publicize it only so much for us, so I don't know how we're gonna discuss that in the future. Okay.
Hi, Cynthia Tiedemann, 7562 Drexel Street. I'm a customer, and I was really, just want to say I liked seeing those policies that you're working on. I especially like the proactively engage and communicate with the stakeholders. And so as a customer, or whatever I am, and also the Natural Resource Director for the League of Women Voters of Nebraska, I would just like to have a couple comments that I'd like you to consider as you develop these. I think all of the meetings should be streamed. I think that's just a transparency issue, that we're in that age now we can do it. It should be streamed and then archived. I think that the committee meetings should have the same public participation as the board meeting rules. And then the other thing I would like is that I like getting, I mean, it's fine to get the agenda, but it would be really helpful to have any attachments for the agenda, that those be available on,
They're available on the website.
They are available.
they're available on the website, under
Committee materials.
committee for the board
Materials,
meeting.
yeah.
Okay, I'll look there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cynthia,
Yep,
are you speaking on behalf of John Tiedemann too?
pardon me?
Are you speaking on behalf of John Tiedemann too, or that's not a nom de plume, is it? No, we have another question here from John Tiedemann.
Oh, you have a question? Okay. I know, I'm not responsible for
Ken Winston, Nebraska Sierra Club, 4905 South 149th Street, Omaha. I just wanted to kind of follow up a little bit on what David was talking about. And I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything negative, but I do know that David has attended practically every meeting and every committee meeting. And if he wasn't aware, that tells me that the public at large was probably not aware. Because he's a pretty well plugged in guy. So I would encourage further efforts to be made to publicize the activities of the board, and when you're working on policy changes like this. And even, well, I guess one of the things that I would suggest is a number of us are in regular email contact with members of the board and executive staff. If there's folks that are regularly engaged, an email saying, hey, by the way, here's our proposal and we'd like to know about it. And if you want to have comments, Because if he didn't know until 3 days ago, that means, I'm guessing the vast majority of the public didn't know either. So just wanted to,
Ken, I wonder what more we might do.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was a press release, an announcement in public at our committee meeting, an announcement at this meeting a month ago. David, and we love having him at the meetings, but I mean, this is almost intuitive that something's happening. And not intuitive, it was in fact stated twice and we had a press release. What more should we be doing?
well, as I indicated, I mean, and David represents Nebraska for Solar, Dwayne represents the Wildlife Federation, I represent the Sierra Club. I mean, if an email, I'm sure that our emails addresses are on file.
So you'd like personal emails telling you about what?
Well, just kind of keeping us posted on what's going on. I mean, if there's an email blast about something,
That's the purpose of our website, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking perhaps the problem is maybe perhaps the website, the front page, we maybe need to publicize things a little bit better on the website, that you can take the responsibility to look on our website for the information. That way things don't get, because everything, right now, what we're trying to do is put on that website, so that it's your responsibility to look on the website, but I think where our lack is as I was looking through it, I had to get through, governance to find it. And I think maybe on the first page of our website, we can better publicize it, what we're doing as far as stakeholder process and that type of thing, right in the front, very front page.
well, as a matter of fact, when I was looking for the attachments this morning, I had to go through a couple of exercises to find it,
And
so.
that's where I'm thinking that
So-
what we need to improve on.
And I guess one other comment, following up on Cynthia Tiedemann's comment about televising the meetings. I was on the Lincoln School Board in the 90s, and we televised our meetings then, so I imagine in 2015.
We're actually working on that, and we'll have Mrs. Olson give us an update on that. It's a
Okay,
good
great.
time to do an update,
Sounds good,
yeah.
thanks.
Yes, the team has been working on this for the last several months and doing some testing. We were planning on going live this month, but with us going to UNO next month, we wanted to wait until afterwards because that will save some money. So starting in September, the goal is to go ahead and stream live. So
Sounds great.
That's board meetings, so we're gonna
Board
do-
meetings.
What about committee meetings? Are we,
Committee meetings, we're not there
well,
yet.
let's see, let's get the board meetings done.
let's try that first, and then logistics.
But I
We
do
may
have a
to
question
move
for you.
We may have to move our committee meetings if we do that. That's the thing.
Getting off topic.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Oh, of course.
But that may not be such a bad idea anyway.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea.
How do we notify the press? By electronic transmission? And
We do.
Keep a list of that?
We do.
Now, organizations like these organizations, if they ask to be put on that list, would that create a problem for anybody?
It would create, because organizations, some of them move the representatives and so forth of who we need to send that to, so that
Then
would
it
be something we'd
their
have.
responsibility to let us know.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. And some of them, I said they should sign up for Google Alerts, because if we put a press release out,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I am on Google Alerts, wasn't there?
so we'll look into that.
One thing though, you know, before we get too far down the road
News
here,
release.
I think we do a great job on the website and some of these other things. Most people aren't looking for a governor's page, they're looking on, say, tips and these, so I think we've designed the website, haven't we, to what meets most people's needs.
And actually, we tested
Outages,
it
those
as
kind of
well.
things. So we've put a lot of research into this. Yeah, there maybe is better things we can do, and we're always open for that.
Always look for it,
But that website is used, I think, primarily for a lot of other things that 99% of the people probably want. I don't know, but we test it and all this stuff then.
We did.
That's what I was gonna ask
In
you,
fact,
'cause
we even,
We didn't just do it for no reason.
Yeah.
But it is good. It's hard to find governance. I would agree with that and some of those things.
Most of it, the people want energy efficiency tips and so forth, so we prioritized that when we built the website. But we'll take a look at it again.
Or maybe, Dave, if you need instruction on how to get to certain parts of the website, or can, and then that's the ownership, you have ownership, and that would help.
That's not it. I am on Google Alerts, and I receive surveys from OPPD all the time, so you obviously value my opinion on, I volunteered for all those things. If you can send out all those emails, why can't you send it out to organizations.
The press release
You
was
should
sent
have got
out.
the press release on Google. That's not our responsibility, but
No, it isn't, but
So-
call the question.
I think we're gonna.
I do
work
have
on
a
this. We're
takeaway
gonna-
that I'll
I
go
do-
back and take a look at
We do
that.
have one other person who'd like to speak.
Yes, I don't know all about Google Alerts, but perhaps those are only, they only show up if a media person puts it out as a story. Simply OPPD putting it out doesn't get it to the level that Google Alerts catches it. And what John is kind of suggesting that we be put on the media list. Well, I am a writer for the Nebraska Report, which is put out 6 times a year by Nebraskans for Peace, so I would consider myself a media person. Ken and David also write for different papers and for the Nebraska Report. So, you know, we are part of the media, so I think
I
it's
think
sort of a
that's a great
no-brainer
suggestion.
that at least the 3 of us could be added to that, and other people that are in similar situations could
I think
also be.
that's a great suggestion that Mr. Green has,
Yeah.
and with that, and I think we'll do it. Mrs. Olson is nodding her head. Phew, we got one thing done. Now, may we have a vote? Call for a vote.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Gay.
Yes.
Green.
yes.
Hurley.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Mines.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion passed. Agenda item number 8, resolution number 6071. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that 1, the engineer's certificate requesting that the board waive the sealed bid requirements in accordance with Nebraska Revised Statutes, section 70-637 through 70-639 is hereby approved. 2, management is hereby authorized and directed to negotiate and enter into a contract for the purchase of electro-hydraulic operators for Fort Calhoun Station. 3, the notice required by Nebraska Statute 70-637 shall be published in the Omaha World Herald.
We have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Mines?
Technical.
Yes, as part of our response to the NRC order for the Fukushima event, this is part of the integrated strategy or flexible strategy. This part is integral in the event of an extended loss of AC power beyond design basis event. This affords redundancy for the operators to be able to rapidly cool down the plant, and that is a key part of the strategy for us. And the valves in particular that will change out, we'll be able to do competitive bid on the internals, but this is a hydraulic actuator. It's stored energy, dedicated DC control power that will allow the operators a flexible way to be able to operate these valves through a broad range of beyond design basis conditions, as well as be able to reposition the valves, which is integral to control the cool down rate.
And this is perhaps the first of these board items for this
Yeah,
project,
over
correct?
over the course, we've approved a number over the years, and you'll see the remaining design items that meet threshold come here. From the remaining design items will go in place in the 2016 refueling outage to be compliant with the order.
I thought, so those are coming on the next refueling, and then how much guesstimate is that gonna be?
Between what we're doing online, which we're doing the reliable spent fuel indication, we've talked about that, that's an online modification. The flex building itself, which we've also had approval for, there's about 10 modifications total. This is the largest. Let me get, if you want, I'll bring back the total estimate. I know what the total project is, but in my mind, I have what we're doing also online, and the flex building is a big project for us in
This is
spent
for the
fuel.
entire Fukushima.
Yeah, so the entire Fukushima, as I mentioned on Tuesday, is about $1 billion for the industry and about $35 million for us. And it includes not only the hardware we're doing, but we've done extensive studies beyond design basis flood, beyond design basis earthquakes. There's a lot of study work that goes along with the actual modifications we're making to the plant.
Yeah, and the question I asked Tuesday was how much more will there be on this, but we've already kind of, this is it.
Yeah, expectation right now is, we're
Decided
scoped.
this is it.
Yeah, we're scoped to meet the order,
Unless they tell us more.
stay in contact with the fleet and certainly with the Nuclear Energy Institute on by bounding, the actions that we're taking in response.
Okay.
Do we have any questions from the public? Not, may we have a vote, Mrs. Tracy?
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Gay.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Hurley.
Yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Number 9, and 11. Now we will have a report from Mr. Burke.
Great, thank you very much, and apologize for the voice. I feel great, but my voice is not very good. So, we had 2 forced outages this past month that occurred at Nebraska City 1 during the month. On June 21st, the unit was offline for about 15 hours to repair a steam leak on the feed water system valve that could not be isolated. On June 27th, the unit tripped because of a distributed control system processor when it lost communication with the rest of the system. That was able to be repaired and then came on back online. Nebraska City 2 remained in service for the entire month of June, although during that period of time, we did have to take it down to about 50% power because of some situations with some circulating pumps and a failed pump that occurred at the same time. So that is back up and operating at full power as of June 30th of this past month. The station at North Omaha had 2 outages during the month as well. Unit 2 was forced offline on June 3rd through June 6th due to a leak in the primary superheater section of the boiler, and Unit 3 was forced offline on June 2nd through June 6th due to a leak in the finishing superheater section of the boiler. Sarpy County 3 had a major overhaul that was completed this past month, just in time for the hot weather we've had over the last couple weeks. And it came back online and ready to go on June 26th and passed all of its emission testing that we needed to have it pass. On the energy marketing and trading side, renewable energy contributed to about 11% of OPPD retail sales. Capacity factor for renewables was 34.5%, and wind capacity factor was 33.6%. To date, renewable energy contributed to 17.7% of OPPD's retail sales, and the wind capacity factor is around 47.8%. A little bit on Fort Calhoun Station. We did have a report at the committee meeting this past week on Tuesday relative to our ISO bus duct cooling issue that occurred where we had to reduce power for a day and a half because of the loss of that cooling. We were able to get that in place, repaired, and then back up and return to full power. And so that occurred as well. The board also received a report on Tuesday about a reactant coolant seal leak that was occurring. It's a very, very minor leak, but obviously we're paying close attention to it and are planning to go in and make that repair in the near future here. There's a Fort Calhoun Station outage performance assessment that's occurring this week. It's led by the Exelon fleet, and it will be conducted across several functional areas such as outage management, engineering, maintenance, operation, and senior leadership roles and responsibilities. And the board will hear a report on that outage report next month at our August board meeting. Obviously, we were talked to in the Nuclear Oversight Committee about a security inspection that occurred by the NRC. That inspection went very well and concluded with no significant issues, findings, or potential violations. We are still waiting on the final determination of the auxiliary feed water special inspection that occurred actually over in July, and we'll hopefully get that in the next week or so, and we'll report on that next month as well. On the T&D side of the business, wood pole inspection and treatments have been completed. We do these primarily to inspect and treat, this past year anyway, 12,000 poles this year as part of our ground line inspection and treatment program, which prevents rot of poles, but it also identifies poles that we need to replace before they actually fail. And so this year, 2.5% of the inspected poles required replacement. So it's an opportunity for us to also look at the safety of the public, safety of our employees as well. And kind of tied to that, I had the opportunity to attend a safety meeting at the Papillion Center yesterday, and the Papillion Center actually honored an employee that died in the line of service, and it kind of ties into with this wood pole inspection. And so it was an individual by the name of Arthur Packeser. He was a lineman. He died February 25th, 1948. He sustained injuries and obviously died after a 35-foot fall from a pole that he and a coworker were working on, broke off near the base of the pole. So that's one of the reasons why we do these pole inspections. He actually worked out of Herman, Nebraska. He was 49 years old when he died, and it's an opportunity for our T&D group just to reflect on the serious nature of their work and those kinds of things about OPPD employees that have died in the line of service. And it was a great opportunity, and it was very well respected and appreciated by the members of the Papillion Center. The district received $2.5 million on June 29th from the Nebraska Emergency Management Agency and the Federal Emergency Management Agency for reimbursements of costs incurred in the 2011 Missouri River flood. The total that we have received from NEMA and FEMA has totaled $22.7 million, and we continually work with those agencies as we try to close out that disaster declaration. A little bit about what's going on with some of the OPPD employees. True to form, after the death of Officer Orozco, a group of our employees got together and tried to identify a way where we could help support kind of the mission that she was on in serving the community. So that group got together, identified some ways in which we could assist, and they are developing a fundraising campaign for fallen Officer Carrie Orozco. And as of this week, they've raised over $6,500 to date. And so it's called Keep Up the Pace. It's the name of the campaign, with all funds going to the police athletics for community engagement organization. And obviously, as you well know, this was an organization that she was deeply involved in. So over the course of the month, we're doing a number of different things. We have an individual that's working at each of our centers and having great response from our employees. We're doing a roundup in our cafeteria, and we're also doing a payroll deduction for one-time donations. And so this check will be presented to the PACE organization at our company picnic on August 16th. So it'll be a great opportunity for the OPPD employees to be recognized for that, for the great work that they do. Corporate Marketing Communication has launched a new content marketing site called The Wire. Check it out, if you would, at OPPDthewire.com. The site will feature a wide range of stories concerning OPPD, its people, its projects. It's really trying to personalize the work that we do, not only within OPPD, but in the community. And if you haven't had the opportunity to take a look at it, it's a great site and is being nationally recognized for the work that we're doing. In there, there'll be videos and stories and photos and infographics about what we do, not just about delivering power and generating power, but all the other work that we do in the community. And it will really begin to reference what our employees do and the work that they do. And it's a great opportunity to see that. It'll actually be part of where you can actually go into our OPPD Storm and Outage Center and actually see updates about storms that have occurred as well. On Thursday, June 25th, 65 co-ops and seasonal employees were recognized at the Human Resource Luncheon at the Salvation Army Kroc Center. Our latest crop of seasonal co-op employees have a broad range of educational experiences. They're working in engineering, information technology, transmission distribution, as well as communication, and then obviously some clerical related work as well. So it's a great opportunity for us to bring some of the young folks that hopefully will be able to have work for our organization in the future. Chris Schofield is OPPD's 2015 Engineer of the Year. He's only been with the company for 3 years, so he's made a pretty significant impact at OPPD. Although he's been an employee for 3 years, he actually worked as a contractor up at Fort Calhoun for several years prior to that, and his peers selected him for this distinguished honor. And so we congratulate Chris for that. He has a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and is actively involved in his church and the community and a variety of other different things. So it's a great recognition for Chris and his wife Courtney, who are expecting their first child in December. For the second year, we hosted 5 educators throughout our community's schools from June 8th through June 12th. We had a variety of employees work with them on a number of different experiences here at OPPD, and it's an opportunity to take educators in the school systems and really give them a look about what our needs are at OPPD and the experiences that they get. And we've received some great cards back from their experience And so they've worked on things as such as our safety group, our fuels group, our sustainability group, communications, human resources, production operations, T&D transportation, substation, engineering, and information technology. So it's just a great opportunity for us to have those educators in. And it really is an opportunity for them to talk about their experience and OPPD as they go into the classroom next year. And as Lisa talked about, we're planning on developing the streaming for our OPPD board meetings beginning in the September timeframe. And with that, that concludes my stated utility report.
Thank you very much. And I believe we have one more agenda on the item.
Madam Chairman?
Yes?
If I could just interject a little bit here. I was able to attend with President Burke the groundbreaking ceremonies at Syracuse for the rail deal for the Midwest Co-op, which is probably one of the best economic developments that OPPD could do for that down below the Platte River. It was a great deal, and I was really proud. I was proud of John Hanson and his group that helped put that all together, and I just wanted to acknowledge that it all came together. It's going to work out good for everybody, and it could really increase the price of grain in southeastern Nebraska.
That's good.
We have access to both coasts, to the Gulf Coast and the West Coast. And it was an awesome deal, and it took a lot of effort, didn't it?
Did Mr. Hanson have his railroad hat on?
Well, he did, but he also had a lawyer hat on, too.
That was a great effort.
Why was it?
Of the fuels group, legal and economic development had a big role to play.
Quite a bit of negotiation.
But I know there's nobody here that understands any of this, but if you can get access to both coasts, to the Gulf Coast and the West Coast for grain, in that kind of a facility, it's awesome that we could provide that ability to the co-op. And that co-op stretches from west of Lincoln to Fremont to clear down to the Kansas border. It's a big deal, and I just want to acknowledge that and make sure that was part of the public
Good
record.
comment.
Is that gonna cost our corn on the cob to go up or down?
I would think your sweet corn would still be, you could come down and get it from me for free.
Hey, everyone in this auditorium will be calling you, yeah. That's sweet corn. Couple
I do have a
weeks, right?
question though, Mr. Hanson, on that particular topic, and that is that gonna increase traffic on that highway to, intersection between our train tracks and the Lincoln area right in there?
No, actually, most of the traffic will be between Nebraska City and Syracuse.
That's nice.
The one thing on that though, and that's to watch it from the outside, seeing what you guys are doing, but the nice thing was, I think there's points you could have walked away from it and just said it's not worth it, and we
Many
didn't,
times,
and that's the key. You know what I mean? You guys, so commend you for
That's
sticking
why I commend it.
sticking to it. That's a very good thing.
Quite a bit of negotiating on that, yeah.
Well, and we may not be done yet. We may have other opportunities for other projects, so
Good.
we'll have that opportunity. It is a great, as we've talked about in that meeting or in the groundbreaking, it's really great opportunity to kind of mask our economic development, our operations group, our rail service, fuels, in the communities in which we serve. And it was a great opportunity to kind of put all those together and kind of represent them to the community. And it was very well received, obviously, by Midwest Farmers Co-op, but multiple community leaders, as you well know, down there from county commissioners.
We're talking about eight counties, 9 counties. It's a big thing.
Big thing. Thank you for bringing that up, that's important. Now we will have our demand side management update. We have chosen, the board chose instead to have this at the committee meeting, that'd be at the general board meeting. And we welcome once again Dino Busalis, our manager of business strategy and analysis. So should we move here?
Actually, it'll be up here.
Oh, it's up here now.
Thank you, Director McGuire. As part of a background, in June 2014, we approved a generation resource decision that included 300 megawatts of demand-side management. At that time, we had
done a demand-side management potential study. We had a long list of measures, what they cost, what their value was in demand response and energy reduction, but they weren't put together in programs. So we did DSM program design, where we assembled these in logical programs that were appealing to customers and made sense. We took them to our trade allies and customers to see if they passed muster. And in June of this year, we presented those to, or in January of this year, we presented those to the board. Then we went on now to program development and how are we going to deliver this program? What the marketing strategy was? Are we going to do the work? Are we going to have a contractor do the work? And that sort of thing. And we've completed that. We also put together a branding strategy, and I will talk about that in the next couple slides. And we have launched on June 1st some of the new programs and the revised programs and the branding strategy. As far as the branding strategy, corporate marketing and communications developed the proposed brand architecture. We met with the DSM product managers, because they're going to have to be selling this, to get their input. And we went back to the customers on a couple different occasions with an online survey, quantitative survey, and focus groups. And this was actually very important in coming up with the final naming conventions. So again, that's going to roll out in June. And so here's kind of a map of our new branding architecture in the past names. And it took me a week to get over to the new names, but I think I'm there. So on the left is the new brands. And on top of this brand hierarchy is Power Forward, which is the umbrella name for all the DSM programs and even future energy services that will be developed. Power Forward was, of course, the one that passed all the market research. It conveys to me what the power industry will look like going into the future. So it also has the little electronic advance forward symbol that you see on smart devices. So click here and we're moving forward. Under that is the mass market segment of our new DSM programs, and that includes, and you can see the naming convention is similar and the look and feel is similar. So that includes HVAC Smart, which had the old working name of Residential High Efficiency Air Conditioning, and that's a new program, and that's launched June 1st. We also have Smart Steps to Saving Energy. That had the working name of Income Qualified Program, and that's a new program that will be starting in the next couple months. Cool Smart is an existing program, kind of our flagship residential demand response program known as Air Conditioning Management Program. And it always has been a single family residential program, but now Cool Smart will have different options. There'll be a multifamily option, which will be a new program, and a small business option, which will also be a new program. Getting into the next segment of DSM programs, we have the mass market is residential and very small business. On the other side is large commercial industrial customers. And under that, we have the Energy Efficiency Partner Program, which was the old commercial industrial lighting program, now rebranded as the prescriptive option. And we have the custom option, the new custom option, which was the old Innovative Energy Efficiency Project. And so those have both been revised and were relaunched on June 1st as well. Finally, the Peak Choice Partner Program is for our demand reduction, demand response programs. We have the interruptible rates that have been around for a very long time, and a new program called Smart Demand Response, and I'll go through each of these. Okay, the HVAC Smart program provides incentives for high efficiency air conditioners and heat pumps. It also tries to promote that the operational efficiency of these is optimized, and in the future we'll have a supporting group of measures for building shell, for energy efficiency that will help the air conditioner be more efficient. So phase one, we did a process review, and for every one of these programs, we went through a complete process review from when the application started until the product's delivered, and had everybody who has any hand on this in the room and walked through it, as well as we had trade allies in because they're part of that process. We educated them, all the trade allies, and on June 1st, we launched this program. Phase two is training and verification, and we're going to select a trade ally to do that. We had a request for proposal. It is complete. In fact, we're reviewing it this afternoon. And we hope to have them on board and start next year on certifying contractors and verifying the operational efficiency of units. Phase three is these energy measures. So if a customer participates in this program, agrees to do some energy efficiency measures that optimize the operation of the unit, such as duct sealing, duct insulation, they will actually get rebates, and that would be launched next year as well. Smart Steps for Savings, the income qualified, provides home and energy management education, and fully subsidized energy efficiency measures to income qualified customers. We have gone to the community action programs and educated them, because they are going to be the front end for the education and helping to identify customers. We did a request for proposal for an energy efficiency partner, and that would be the group that goes in and puts in those fully subsidized energy efficiency measures, and that is complete. Coming up here very soon, we're going to do a proof of concept, like go through the whole process through 3 to 5 homes to make sure, kind of a dry run, to make sure this process works before launching. We'll do a second process review where we bring everybody back, lessons learned from the walkthrough, and then program launch at the end of August. Cool Smart, again, is our residential air conditioning demand response program. Has been going for many years. We did the process review. We did establish new dispatch protocols. We used to dispatch all the air conditioners at once. Now we can do it strategically because we have them in groups where you don't have to call everybody all at once. We tested new marketing materials. We got a 3% response rate, which is good for direct marketing. And we activated 900 switches that, because of new occupancy, someone was off the program. We reactivated those. Multifamily, we did the process review. We've talked a lot with multifamily developers. Learned a lot from property developers. In apartments, if you're on the top or you're on the southeast corner, it affects you, air conditioning affects you a lot more than if you're on the bottom in the middle. So they wanted to make sure that the comfort of their clients. So we are thinking about smart communicating thermostats where you could just drop the load but still have it comfortable. It would go through the apartment owner's Wi-Fi system, or they'd have a Wi-Fi system, we could call it that way. And then we're going to do another pilot with the switches as well to see which one really is optimal. So we're going to define the pilot, the participants, and have a pilot done so we can launch this program before next year's cooling season. Small business, same thing. This is very small businesses that have probably a rooftop unit. Same technology is with the switch. And we're going to do a pilot study on several small businesses, again, launching in next year's cooling season. Okay, moving over to the commercial industrial area, the prescriptive options, that's when that's for energy efficient measures that have a predetermined electrical demand value. So if you changed out these lights with more efficient lights in a office working environment, you know how much you're going to get. So if a customer does it, you can just say, okay, you've put those in, here is your rebate. So we revised, the revisions there are just mostly on online applications. So we launched that revised program June 1st. The custom option is where the electrical demand reductions are unique to the specific deployment, like a building management system will have a different impact in any different kind of building. So that needs an audit. It needs to be verified afterwards. So we've revised that mostly with the online application. Peak Choice Partner, the old interruptible rates stay the same, but we've decided to expand that program by 6 megawatts with us sign it up by August of this year with the 2016 start date. Smart demand response is automated demand response where pre-selected load reduction measures are automatically initiated with no or little manual intervention at the business, or really no disruption to the business. So you start controlling cooler compressors or lights in the back room that end up happening automatically. I think this is a sweet spot for demand response in the future. It's not scheduled to be implemented for 3 years yet, but we want to really do our research on that. We visited such a program in Kansas City Power and Light. We're getting market potential estimates from the industry, and we're evaluating the possibility of a technology test on this. Other things, non-program activities is the design of a new organization, a tracking and fulfillment system, and there are many out there that we're looking at to keep track of all the measures that are out there so we know the exact demand reduction, exact energy reduction. And there's a lot of reporting on DSM now. It's such a topic of interest in the industry for the Energy Information Administration, NERC, and other industry groups. We're getting it so we can smoothly integrate DSM into the generation resource planning process because it'll be there forever now. And we're working on that, and of course, budgeting and financial tracking. With that, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Some of our technicians down below the Platte River are expressing concerns about our air conditioning management. And I'm not sure that they're getting the information they need to understand how it works. I had my air conditioner motor went out on my deal, and he had to bring in somebody from Omaha to figure out how to get it going again, just because of that. So I'm concerned about the how we explain this to all our technicians, not just in Omaha, but south of the Platte River, to all these technicians, because there's a lot of them down there. And of course, they're really willing to blame us.
Sure.
But I think there needs to be emphasis on getting that information out to those technicians, and not just in the Omaha area, but
Right.
south of the Platte River.
I'll certainly make a note of that. We go out to the HVAC dealers fairly regular on the program. We have calls like that. We respond to calls like that routinely, and we'll make sure, I'll make a note that the HVAC dealers down
Clear
south
down to,
are
Pawnee
included.
City or wherever. I mean, they all need to understand how this works and how to fix it.
We have had conversations as we rolled out the program early on with a variety of the heating and cooling contractors, north, south, east, west, And it is one of those things where some of them just don't like it.
They don't like it.
Right.
And we understand that.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things, we don't necessarily see that in the metropolitan area. It's just because they see so much of it anymore. I mean, we'll have 40,000 of these units installed, by the end of the year.
Well,
so.
and down there, we got MPPD everywhere, and OPPD, it's just an evolving deal, and there's new people coming in. I wasn't being critical. I just want to make sure we do keep that on the emphasis that we keep involving those people in how that works.
It's just another
It's
great
evolving
opportunity
deal.
for us to outreach
Yeah.
and make sure that we communicate that.
Yeah, and not just say Omaha or Serpent County, but down there too.
Do you know, we're at what, 35,000 now, participation? Did you?
There's about 33,500 right now.
Just in the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 different people mention to me how they have been either targeted through our mailings, what have you, that shown interest in it. So I don't think it's dying off at all. I don't think it's leveling off at all. Do you? It seems like it's still people are definitely interested in participating.
Yeah, well, we got a 3% response rate on a direct mail, which is usually considered fairly high, and we've test marketing these new pieces, which we think will be more appealing.
You know, we obviously had the program in place on Monday and Tuesday of this week because of the high temperatures. And on Tuesday afternoon, evening, we had a group of people over to our house, and I wanted to use that as an experiment to see if anybody noticed. Just because I knew in advance, but nobody else did. And I kind of sat back and kind of just watched, and nobody said anything until about 6:30. My wife mentioned it was kind of hot in the house. Well, I think part of the problem was the group of people we had in there. There was
They kept opening the door.
Yeah, otherwise nobody noticed. So that was a positive, I think.
Oh, good.
They brought all their hot air with them.
My in-laws, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Candy's not gonna like that. That's on tape, by the way. You're in trouble with Candy.
Hey, Dino, a lot of programs, I couldn't explain a single one of them to anybody in the public right now, I'm sorry. But my question would be, what kind of goal, are there goals established for each one of these
Yes.
programs? And how do we, on a monthly basis, determine what those results are? Is it more efficient? Okay, it probably is, but how efficient and what are your goals? And how do you capture that information and then make it available?
Well, that's the tracking system. What we've done now is our programs kind of grew up organically over the years, so we have kind of separate ones. So we're getting a system now until we get the new tracking system to track all that stuff. We're working on that as we go.
Does each program have a goal?
Yes, each program has a yearly goal from now till 2023.
Okay.
And we've just converted that into monthly goals so we can track that. Like the high efficient HVAC had a goal of 72 units, it came out 105, and I just got a report in the last 2 days since it got hot, we've gotten 35.
But you have goals of implementation.
Yes.
Do you track and can you quantify what it saves our customers?
Oh, yes, that's all part of it.
What efficiencies they are for OPPD? And how do we receive that information, or will we receive that
We will,
information?
that's the question.
We will,
The
can't be right-
number of units is wonderful, but it doesn't really tell the story about how are our customers benefiting and how's OPPD benefiting.
So the report will have number of units, it'll have the demand reduction
Okay.
in kilowatt or megawatt hours, the energy reduction in kilowatt hours for the program for that month.
Perfect.
And then, and going forward.
And then when we set our broad policies on environmental stuff and demand, we could actually include that in our
Exactly
policies.
right.
Which will be discussed later. We can put that in there with his help, after he gets things a little bit more.
Very nice.
Well, Director Mines, I got a funny story to tell you. I always am first willing person to participate in these things. And I was the first guy to sign up for surge protection. And it turns out within about 3 months, I lost all my televisions and refrigerator, I think. And it turns out because I had an electric fence around my pasture for my horses, they didn't accommodate that. So they figured out how to do that. I thought that was
That's why
pretty
you have
interesting.
pilots.
But my wife is the biggest complainer about any uncomfort for her temperature, and she loves the AC. She's never even complained at all. But I think as directors, we should be the first willing participants in all of this.
Got it out.
But the horse story was pretty funny.
Director Gay, you had a,
Took them a long time to figure it out too. A couple days.
When you were designing this, didn't you, we didn't go with everything. You went with the most,
yes,
with the most,
cost-effective
Yeah, that's
and
it.
met the goals of our generation.
right, because there's,
This
right.
is, these are
So that's
continuing
a good
reports.
thing,
We've
and
been
then the
getting
follow-up.
quarterly reports from him, and
Then the follow-up, I think, would be good. On the Smart Steps program, what is the income qualified customers? Is there a range, or
Yeah,
is that
that's
low
right.
income people?
It is,
You need
it
to
is
qualify
low
to be
income,
below.
150% of the poverty level.
Okay.
or
and then-
below.
Then are we actively out promoting
And that's
it
where we
there
go
too?
through our common fund partners and agencies who actually do the front end. We had that kit, they have a kit that has home management, energy management ideas, and some energy efficiency measures like, ceiling, window sealing. So everybody can get that. And then if they qualified through our partners, then we'll come in, help them install that kit, and then do all the other measures.
Help them with that?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's a good thing, 'cause a lot
That's
of
fully
times-
subsidized, installed
you
by our
coordinate
contract.
with Judy Martin and her group with that.
Correct.
It was close.
Okay, thank you very much,
Okay,
Dino.
thank
And
you.
if any of the public Dino will stick around if any of the public has specific questions.
We're familiar with it.
They're familiar, yes. One other thing I'd like to mention, that our next policy meeting that we're going to have, the governance meeting, that's gonna be open to the public, if everybody wants to put down this on their calendars, it's gonna be September 15th and 16th. It will be following our regular committee meeting on Tuesday, September 15th. We'll have the next group of policies that we'll be discussing. And then on the 16th, it'll go into at least noon time, if not later, depending on our agenda. And that will be publicized. Hopefully we'll get improved. Finally, but I would like to thank both Scott Foch and Kim Tracy for spending many, many, many long hours on these policies. I do believe they're very important as far as guiding us and helping us, such as in a situation with demand-side management, we can set specific parameters, such as with, when we want reliability, we know whether or not we're meeting our reliability goals and everything. That just is two examples, and I think it's very, very important policy, and I thank you for all your help and your continued help. So, with that, I will.
Hear, hear.
I would like to adjourn. Yes. Pardon?
Public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, how could we? The public is already talking, I'm sorry, excuse me, Mr. Walsh. I thought we had, I feel like it's been so dynamic, I thought we already were.
It was such a good meeting, you just wanted,
But we just keep on talking, yeah.
well, good morning again. Ken Winston from the Nebraska Sierra Club, 4905 South 149th Street. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate President Burke. This is the first meeting I've attended where you're the president, so I'm pleased to be able to see you in that capacity. Well, I guess the first thing that I wanted to talk about is OPPD is really doing a lot of great things, and one of the things that I have concern about is that sometimes the public perception, what gets in the newspaper, are not the positive things. And I guess I just wanted to say that the Sierra Club recognizes that, and Sierra Club nationally has several times in their communications mentioned the OPPD energy plan as a positive energy plan, as an example of an energy plan that is very positive and forward-looking. And so I just wanted to mention that. And I also personally have put it in my communications, like to members of the legislature as an example. I know I showed it to Director Mines when we were talking one day in the rotunda. I want to acknowledge that. And one of the things that I always point out is the fact that not only is it reducing carbon dioxide emissions and reducing mercury emissions and the other emissions, but it's also the lowest cost alternative. And that's one of the things that people sometimes say, well, if you do a plan that's green, it's going to cost more money. And excuse me, I guess I've got the same vocal problem that President Burke has. But I always like to point out that that's not necessarily true, and that if you do it the right way, and that I use OPPD's plan as an example, the fact that it is the lowest cost plan of the alternatives you're looking at. So, well, the second thing that I wanted to talk about in relation to that is the Clean Power Plan, which the federal Clean Power Plan is supposed to come out in the next couple of weeks. And I would encourage OPPD to have a positive response to that based upon the fact that you have adopted a plan that should meet the goals of the Clean Power Plan based upon the carbon reductions that you're looking at. And encourage OPPD to participate in a positive way with the state in developing their plan. There's also a couple other things that I think I'd like to encourage. And one of the things that is it's kind of ironic that at the same time the federal government's rolling out their Clean Power Plan, the production tax credit and other tax credits, well, the production tax credit for wind has already expired, and the tax credit for solar is scheduled to expire next year. I would encourage support for extending those kinds of tax credits or other incentives that you could make use of in your efforts, and also would encourage support for state incentives, such as the state production tax credit that's in LB 423. Really appreciate the demand side management plan that you're talking about, the fact that you're tracking that. I think that's really significant, so that you can show how much and which programs work and what needs to be tweaked. And I just think it's really huge and really, well, I think it's a big deal. So to have that kind of demand side management. And one of the things, as I've often said, we'd be glad to work with OPPD in supporting any efforts in that regard. And actually, I've had some conversations with some state senators about some of these issues. I know that there's interest in on-bill financing, and I know that there's been some discussion about that idea, and several state senators are interested in that concept. There's also a great deal of interest in the low-income program, and if there's state incentives or state support for that program, I think that's a good idea as well, and we've consistently supported that. Finally, I just wanted to talk a little bit about solar. LES has a utility scale solar project that they're going to be doing this year, 5 megawatts, and they also have rate incentives for their customers. NPPD has one RFP out. They've done one RFP, and I think they're going to put out another RFP for community solar projects. And so we would encourage OPPD to support both rate incentives for individuals and community solar projects. I believe that Bellevue is looking at a community solar project, so we would support that. And I also know there's some other entities such as the Sienna Francis House that are looking at solar projects. So we'd be glad to work on all those things and support those things. So thank you for your attention, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have too big of a screen here. My name is Mark Welsh. I live at 5611 Howard Street. John Pollock's not able to be here with you today, so he and I worked on a news release that if the media doesn't pick it up, you won't hear it, so I'm going to read it to you. It's fairly short. Until recently, this was a relatively cool summer in Nebraska, but there have been serious heat waves in many other locations. Severe May and June heat waves killed at least 2,500 people in India as temperatures soared well above 110 degrees. More than 1,200 died in Karachi, Pakistan, as temperatures rose to 113 in late June. Incredibly, the temperature also rose to 113 degrees on June 28th in Walla Walla, Washington. as a severe heat wave and drought prevailed across the Pacific Northwest and much of western Canada. The Canadian heat wave has even affected Nebraska. Forest fires rage out of control in the northern prairie provinces. Thick smoke from these fires has drifted southward into the north-central U.S. Even as our region enjoyed cooler weather, smoke blanketed the skies and reduced our normally good air quality. This is the 20th anniversary of the killer heat wave of 1995, which formed under a massive heat dome aloft. Excessive temperatures and stifling humidity developed across our region. Omaha had its hottest temperature in the past 40 years on July 12, 1995 at 109 degrees. As the heat drifted east, the temperature rose as high as 106 in Chicago, with the heat index up to 126. People who were trapped by poverty in buildings without air conditioning died in droves. Chicago recorded 521 heat-related deaths by July 20th, 1995. Heat waves are a normal part of summer weather, but human-caused global warming is making them worse. They are covering an increasing area, and some have even achieved extreme intensity in normally cool northern latitudes such as Canada and northern Europe. Cutbacks in fossil fuel burning are urgently needed to avoid the worst consequences of climate change, including more severe heat waves. The proposed EPA regulations would be a helpful step to cut back carbon dioxide emissions. Citizens Climate Lobby has a better market-driven proposal, passing a federal law with three simple parts. One, create a steadily rising fee on the CO2 content in fossil fuels as they come out of the ground or into our ports. Two, give all the carbon fee to households. And three, create border adjustments to discourage businesses from relocating. This would allow the price of fossil fuels to reflect their long-term climate costs. The additional household income would help cause a more rapid transition to a renewable energy economy, creating 2.1 million jobs in 10 years and encourage international participation. And this is just my comments now. That's the end of the news release that we sent out this morning. Just as Ken said, you guys are doing a great job. I think you're a leader in the nation in getting us off of carbon fuels, and for that I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark.
With that positive ending, I think we
Quick,
will adjourn.
end the meeting.
Congratulations, Lisa.
Thank you. Yeah, your first
And
meeting is
Mark.
over.